All right, so let's do business now. The Environmental Protection Agency has shut down an alluvial mining firm at Mpiasem in the Upper Dentra district of the Central Region. A massive environmental degradation resulting in the pollution of the Ayensu River was responsible for the shutdown.
The EPA Environment Assessment Impact Permits instruct licensed mining firms to adhere to best practices. However, uncovered pits and pollution of the Ayensu River, which serves as a major source of drinking water to several communities in both the Ashanti and Central regions, existed at Romex mining concession. The EPA's visit was unannounced, and this perhaps facilitated the massive exposure of the heavy violation. The EPA refused to take any excuses. The news team also sought for some answers.
What they are doing is not of best practice. They are not taking the topsoil and stockpiling it outside. They are taking the topsoil plus the overburden and putting it within the pit. And that means they are going to put the gravel on top of the topsoil. And so the land cannot be used for agriculture any longer.
Mohamed Salifu, operations manager of the Romex mining firm, admitted the violation.
The permit tells me to mine. My mining should be environmentally friendly. Right? Okay. What I have inherited, I can see that there are so many violations. One of them is the diversion of the Ayensu River.
Which is a contradiction to what the permit says.
Exactly. That is why we are trying to resolve these problems. It is just 1 month.
Now, the EPA is considering shutting down your company. What is your reaction to that?
Look, if the EPA is going to shut this place down, then they must give us a reason.
Romex mining concession has been asked to halt operations until all problems are rectified.
All right, so we talked about it earlier on. Let's critically look at some details from the aviation sector. But even before we go into our interview this afternoon, let me just run you by some of the details that I'm getting right here. The Ghana Civil Aviation Authority says threats by domestic operators, notably Amtrak and Starboard, to relocate their businesses to other neighboring countries are premature, as the authority has already placed a moratorium on the registering of additional domestic carriers. Well, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Air Commodore Kwame Mamfe, says that the authority has already frozen the licensing of new domestic airline operators, one of the main concerns of the existing operators. The Civil Aviation Authority has so far issued license to 5 domestic operators, out of which 4 are currently in operation. That includes Amtrak, Starboard, Africa World Airlines, and 540. The 5th operator, CityLink, has suspended its services because of operational challenges. Well, Amtrak and Starboard, the 1st and 2nd largest domestic operators respectively, believe that domestic carriers are being crowded out of the regional routes by foreign carriers who exercise the sex freedom. That's a right granted by the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority in respect of scheduled international airlines. So joining us on the line now is Air Commodore Kwame Mamfe to explain some of these details. Now, Air Commodore Kwame Mamfe, if you've joined us on the line, a very good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Midday Live. My concerns this afternoon is the domestic airlines and some concerns they've raised concerning they being crowded out. Now, what would you say to some of these allegations by the domestic airlines?
Yes, good afternoon to your viewers. And of course, we have noted the concerns of the domestic carriers, especially Amtrak Air and Starboard. Now, the issue of the registration of carriers, new carriers onto the domestic market, we have, as far back as November 2012, indicated to the ministry that we would require to halt the registration or introduction of new carriers onto the domestic scene, and the ministry has approved that. this information is very well known to the carriers, and I'm therefore very surprised that they keep raising this issue, because as of November of last year, no new carrier has been introduced to operate within the domestic sector. Those who are going through certification at the moment are airlines that wish to do regional flights and international flights. Why regional flights? Regional flights because domestic operators, even though they have the designation to go to certain countries, within the West Coast, are not operating, and therefore there is a need to bring in others who are interested in operating into these areas. Most of them are talking about Nigeria. Bilateral agreements are signed between countries and not by civil aviation authorities. And therefore, when they apply through us, we forward this to the Ministry of Transport, goes through the Foreign Ministry, and to the other country. And therefore, this is ongoing. A few of them have been granted the authorization to operate. We are still waiting for clearances for the rest of them. And they know very well where we have gotten with this subject. There are documents to show that, yes, we have gone through our bit of it. We passed on to the Ministry of Transport, passed on to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and to the other countries. And so I do have a challenge with this attitude. It's unfortunate for them to threaten to pull out, but I think that is up to them,
but
whatever they want to do. Yeah.
This afternoon you've outlined clearly that really these are things that indeed you are working on. But one issue that also keeps coming up is aviation fuel pricing and also availability. How would you react to some of these concerns?
Yeah, first of all, let me indicate that Civil Aviation Authority is not a fuel producing entity. We do not produce aviation fuel. Two, the government of Ghana recently, just about 2-3 months ago, reduced the price of aviation fuel by 20%. Civil aviation, the domestic carriers themselves, IATA and other agencies teamed up and had discussions with various agencies within government to reduce this, and this has been done. You will recall that before this was done, the domestic carriers unilaterally increased their fares by 15 cedis. Government did not react to that. They have 20% decrease in price of aviation fuel. They have not shown any indication that they want passengers to benefit from this line of action by government, but want to further complain that aviation fuel is too expensive. But my comment here is that Ghana Civil Aviation Authority has nothing to do with the availability of aviation fuel. We do not produce aviation fuel.
I don't know if you've checked with prices in the sub-region. Maybe the situation in Ghana, although reduced by 20%, is still not looking good. I have not been able to check, but I want to know, when you compare to the sub-region, is Ghana's pricing marginally higher than other places?
I think you should be referring this subject to the NTA. I have told you that we do not produce aviation fuel. We do not market aviation fuel.
All right, so definitely we can say a big thank you to Air Commodore Kwame Mamfi. He's the Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. A big thank you for joining us this afternoon to give us insight and more details into some of these concerns concerning the aviation sector. We can say a big thank you. Well, so joining us currently to talk about our investment market is Yahweh Dukranton. Yahweh's from NDK. We've been looking at issues of people pulling out from the stock market. That's not pulling out necessarily, but a lot of capital taking. People who are investors are reaping their profits around this time. We'll try to find out. Yesterday, bulk purchase within Unilever. So block buying within Unilever and other issues. Yah joins me here. A very good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Midday Live. Yeah, last week we were talking about a lot of profit taking, especially around this time. Yesterday, good news for Unilever. We saw this block buying that easily jumped their share price up to somewhere around 16 point something. But we come to you. What are the interesting highlights on the market?
Well, I think the highlight of the market this week has been PZ. Okay. PZ now is currently trading close to 400% year to date. So if you're an investor with shares in Unilever, you should be smiling by now. You should really be happy. And that notwithstanding, the shares in Unilever and EGL also have seen some some price increase for the past 4 days.
Okay, quite interesting. Now, we saw early on from last week that there was a lot of profit-taking issues. I mean, is it continuing on the stock market? When are we likely to see it hold for people to start buying into the market? I
think this week that sentiment has really gone down. We've seen some high purchases this week, but going forward, I think as someone is cashing out, somebody also will be cashing in actually. So those who know the market,
buying out and buying in,
when to come in exactly, because around this time, if there's a whole lot of profit taking, there are some investors also out there who are risk takers who will take on the risk right now and then we move on. 2 years ago, PZ wouldn't really sell much, but today it is the hot cake on the market. So this is something that it's more about you being a very seasoned trader or an analyst to really determine which stocks will be going up.
I've had my concerns about tallow oil, especially around this time. I followed them the last 2 days, and tallow oil seems to be experiencing that decline on the market. Yesterday, we had about 6 major equities seeing top gains, but tallow oil the last 2 days has seen some declines. What could you say? It couldn't have started from now, but could be the problem with tallow oil's share?
Well, I personally, financially, I really don't see what is going on in tallow oil, because every month we hear them coming up with new blocks, discoveries and all that. But I think
the future looks bright.
The issue with tallow is that tallow's price is not really determined here. Tallow's price is determined on the London Stock Exchange, so it's not something that we really have much control of. So it's something that it's being determined over there, and the price is being mirrored here in Ghana. So at the end, you buy shares, even how it trades in the UK affects the price here in Ghana. So at the end, we will not really necessarily know what's really going on with Ghana.
Yeah, I do currently we can say a big thank you. Thanks for joining us at 4:30. We'll come back again. We'll tell you about the commodity market, and then we'll update you on how the Ghana cedi has performed against other major trading currencies. My name is Kweku Temin. I do business here. Later tonight, we'll talk more.